Hello and welcome to Helping Other People Excel, or HOPE, as you can see there. And we appreciate the opportunity to come into your homes today and spend a little bit of time with you in this next half hour and share a little bit of inspiration and bring some hope maybe into your lives. And so thank you for stopping in and joining us here. And I love these water scenes. I'm just, weather's getting warmer now and I'm kind of itching for getting back out there to the waterfront and enjoying some of that sunshine that I always do in the summertime. So I'm sure you guys are too. We all get spring fever at the same time around here in Michigan because when the weather starts getting warm, there we go. So anyway, before I get started, I want to thank WCET Television here in Hudsonville. Sure appreciate the fine job that they do, the staff, Alan and JB and everybody else that does all the behind the scenes work to make this show possible. And we definitely have enjoyed using all their new high definition equipment here today since they've got upgraded, and so we're really appreciating that. Thank you so much. And then for our sponsors, we have pampermenaturally.com. If your skin could talk, it would say pamper me naturally. And that's a line of fine herbs and, not herbs, soaps and lotions and lip balms and things for your skin that help keep your skin healthy and happy, and yourself as well. I know if you're anything like me, you probably didn't read the ingredients list on your favorite soaps and lotions before. When I started reading them, I was astounded at those foot-long words they had on there, the hexadexamexyl number 3 or whatever. I get confused just thinking about it. But you know, I decided I didn't want to put that stuff on my skin because I had no idea what it was, and it probably wasn't good for me. So with Pamper Me Naturally, you can buy these nice soaps and lotions that are all natural ingredients. You can read all of them. None of them are any of those foot-long words with the hyphens in them. And that's how they got kind of started, is because they wanted to create some good products for their own family to use. I think they even have laundry powder and things like that. So check out pampermenaturally.com. You can order online, or you can send emails or phone calls there and order what you need. So. And in addition to that, we have Perry's Place in Cedar Springs, 90 North Main Street. I think they're going to put the telephone number down there. I'm not as good at remembering those phone numbers as Gary is on his show. But 90 North Main Street, Cedar Springs, Michigan. Perry's Place is a nice place for fine herbs, teas, and more. And they have massage therapy there and all kinds of things to help your body be healthy on the inside. So we kind of try and cover all the bases. We have the healthy skin and stuff on the outside with Pamper Me Naturally. We have Perry's Place that helps get you healthy with the herbs and teas and things on the inside. And then, of course, we can't leave out the spirit, and that's where Hope comes in. Hope, over here today. Helping other people excel. We want to bring hope and encouragement to the inner man, the inner you, and help that to be healthy as well. So thank you again for joining us. Last but not least, we have Uncle Jim's Jerky up in Standale. Boy, he has got the best beef jerky. It is tasty and tender as beef jerky can get. Nothing like the stuff you get at the gas stations, which is all like a piece of cowhide or shoe leather there that you get to chew on for a while. Uncle Jim's Jerky has just some great flavors and some real steak that they use in their beef jerky, and it's always a pleasure. I can't say it won't get caught in your teeth, but he works on handing out toothpicks for that. Good jerky should, I guess. But anyway, if you get up at any of those three places, please tell them that you heard about them here on Helping Other People Excel. And I'm sure that they will appreciate knowing that their advertising dollars are well spent and that they are getting some good publicity. So anyway, today, you know, I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to talk about today. And some days it goes that way. So we're going to just kind of play it by ear. I'd love to be able to share more of your thoughts, inputs. If you have a good story that you know, something that maybe something that Hope has ministered to you about. I'd love to hear your testimonies on those. Or maybe it wasn't from us, but just something in general that God has done in your life. Something you've learned recently that might have been an inspiration to you that we can use on our show and pass that on to other people. So if you have any of that and you want to share it with me, jim.pate@gmail.com, or you can give me a call at 616-799-0517. JB will put that on the screen for you there. And love to hear some of that and share what you have been learning. If you've learned it on our show, that's exciting, because then I know that we're helping other people excel. So other than that, today, I'm inspired by many things that I read. I've been reading lately the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is just an absolutely amazing book, full of just really good information and ideas, things I wish I would have learned, 30, 35 years ago, back when I was one. Just kidding. Obviously, I'm past that. But those are good things that I really myself could have used over the period of my life. Things that have now been helping me, but back then could have helped me get along with other people better, and how maybe to get more work out of my employees and things of that nature. Certainly the financial information that I've been learning on how to better manage my money, the principles of delayed gratification, and putting those things off that I would have normally impulse bought. Maybe I don't know about you, but I know that that's why they put them at Meijer, is all those little shelves of candy bars and things, pop coolers there right by the checkout counters, because they know that we're all impulse buyers. And I got to have a Butterfinger is one of my favorites, or an Almond Joy or something, but you see those as you go by and you just grab it and throw it on the belt because it's only 85 cents, which, everybody knows $1 doesn't go as far as it used to these days. That's almost like a penny anymore. But, those impulse items are ones that really get us all. And if we learn the principles of delayed gratification, we give up some of those things, maybe a little bit of that Starbucks or Big B's. Not that, those are both wonderful places. I get coffee from there myself sometimes. But, that money could be saved and spent to get us out of debt. Getting out of debt is interest money that we're no longer spending to the bankers or the mortgage companies or the car payment guys. And then that's money that we can then accumulate and accrue ourselves, put in our own bank accounts, and maybe have a savings account, or maybe be able to buy a house or pay cash for a car next time. All of those things, those little principles, if I just would have learned those back when I was a young man, how much further I could be today. So we definitely want to share those principles with you. If you're young, boy, I urge you to get a hold of this information and start applying it in your own life, because it will make a huge difference. Like shooting a gun or a bow, sometimes you're going to shoot the target, and if your gun is just a little bit off, it's a quarter of an inch at the end of the barrel, can totally mean missing the target altogether. And so if you can get some of these principles, it may seem like just a small thing for you at the moment, and it is. But it's those little things that really add up and accumulate and become big things later on, So it's been said that you can, have things a little more tough now and a little more difficult now and be able to enjoy things later on. Or you can enjoy things now, but things will be tougher later on. And, any of us that think about that for a couple of minutes can realize that, it's probably better to have things nicer later on. When you start getting to my age, you start seeing, some of your friends and family that are retired, and, how they're doing. Are they doing well, or are they, greeters at Walmart or Meijer? And nothing wrong with those positions, but sometimes when we retire, if we haven't built up a nice enough nest egg, then we wind up having to do those kind of things. And, I'm reminded of a fella, and I love to see this guy. He's a greeter at one of the stores. And, I come in and I see him, and he's, always pretty cheerful, all things considered, but, he has a cane that he leans on all the time quite heavily as he stands there and greets people. And, I see him struggling to walk, and I know that just standing there in one spot for a long period of time has got to be difficult for him. He's not in great health, and yet he keeps a good attitude, and he's always cheerful greeting, and a smile and saying hi and how are you today, and that in itself is amazing. But if he'd have had those principles, if he'd have had some better ideas and some better counseling, maybe as he was a younger man, he might be in a better spot now where he could be enjoying maybe some of this nice water and have his boat parked along that slip right there, and be in a warmer climate instead of worrying about slipping on the ice out here in Michigan. You know, he might be wintering over in Alabama or Florida or even maybe Hawaii. Who knows? But you know, it's all that little bit of the thing at the very beginning, that little movement of your gun. If you got it, you know, a quarter of an inch off, a quarter of a mile down the road, you could totally miss your target, and you could find that you didn't succeed. You didn't accomplish the things that you wanted to in life. And so, you know, it's really important to sacrifice a little bit now. Delayed gratification. Don't buy it if you don't have the money. It reminds me of that skit from Saturday Night Live. I think it was Steve Martin in there, you know, and I can't remember there. I think there were 3 of them that were sitting there, and, you know, guy was explaining to them these financial principles. You mean if I don't have the money, I can't buy it? I don't know how many of you have seen that video, but it's really pretty comical. I'm sure you can see it on YouTube. But, you know, it's kind of poking fun, but yet how many of us are guilty of that very thing? You know, well, you know, it's on sale and I can get it at a better price, and, you know, it's 6 months no interest if I buy it now, you know. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've been guilty of going past the 6 months, and that's what they're counting on. They're counting on the fact that, you know, you're not going to pay it off in the 6 months, and then sometimes they really wham you. I remember a couple of instances where that happened to me, and I didn't pay it off in the 6 months, kept making the minimum payment on it and so on, and then all of a sudden, boom, all the interest that they would have charged me for the first 6 months gets tacked on because I didn't pay it off in 6 months. Had I have paid it off, then, you know, I'd have been off and I wouldn't have had to pay any interest. But all those little tricks that they use to trick us into being foolish, because it's not their fault, they're just selling a product. You know, if you go to a car lot, the guy's going to try and sell you a car because that's what he's doing there. That's his job. And of course the bankers there are out there trying to sell you financing, and of course financing means interest, and interest compounds. And that makes them a lot of money. So they're doing what they can to, you know, encourage you to join their business, make some money, you know, or help make them some money, I mean. And, you know, it's not to your advantage, but if you're foolish enough and don't understand the principles of delayed gratification and, you know, saving your money to pay cash for it like Grandma and Grandpa would have urged you to do. I was hearing a guy talk the other night, and he was talking exactly about how Grandpa would probably have gotten out a switch from the old willow tree if he'd have found out that we financed our ATV or our vacation or something like that. You know, how we'd have gotten the old whip. And, you know, honestly, rightly so. That's how they grew up, and they understood these principles. And so, you know, I really encourage you to try and look into those if you want a little help with that. I've got a financial fitness kit, a box form, has a book and a workbook and some CDs that you can listen to. It also ties in with a online website that helps you track your progress. Nothing like a scoreboard or a target to be able to let you know whether you're on target or off target, you know. And so there's this all available. You can get that from my website. And JB will put that on the screen for you so you can look at it. But if you go there, there's a brief video that kind of talks about, you know, those things that we've been talking about here about financial fitness and getting off the hamster wheel and trying to learn new principles. And there's 47 principles in that little kit that will guaranteed change your life if you apply them, if you learn them and start practicing them. Things can and will be different for you. You can get off the hamster wheel. You can pay off those debts. You can get yourself freed from not only the banks who have you enslaved. I believe it was Ben Franklin that said that if you're a slave to the lender. I believe it's in the Bible as well, you know, that and Shakespeare. All those guys knew that you are a slave to those that you borrow from. And so that leaves you indentured to them, and that you're working to help pay off that debt. You're working for them now. And so you can be free from that. But also, if you had enough money and didn't have those big bills to pay, maybe you might be able to free yourself from the job that you've got that you aren't really happy with. I'm recalling my dad. He used to go to work at a factory all the time, and he'd get up early in the morning before the sun was up, and he'd work until in the wintertime until it was dark again, and he'd come home in the dark and never get to see the sun. That whole time he was on a cement floor with maybe a rubber mat there and fluorescent lights to light his day, and that's how he spent all of his time, and he just hated to go to that factory. But he did it every day because he had to provide for his family, and he was caught in that rut. And so, you know, I'm kind of thinking of him as I talk about this, because that was something that happened in my own life. And if he had those financial principles, if he'd have learned to better manage his money, he might have actually not had to go to that job. He might have been able to feel comfortable with quitting that job and going to do something more that he did like to do, or he did appreciate. And, you know, my dad was a little bit of an inventor. He came up with some coffee filters that the coffee was stitched in the filter that you could put in your little percolator. You know, nowadays we have those for our coffee machines, but back then that wasn't available, and he came up with that idea and was going to market that, and of course never got around to it because he was busy working his job, and he spent more time at that, and by the time he'd come home he was dead tired and didn't want to be thinking about those kind of things. And of course now somebody else already did that. And Dad's gone now. He's been gone for a little over a year. And so anyway, you know, those are things that maybe could happen for you, that you could find yourself not only free from the indebtedness that you have, and how much better you could do with all of your money if you didn't have to pay that mortgage or that car payment, or, you know, that student loan, or whatever it is, you know. Or what if you could pay your electric bill for 4 months in advance, something like that. You know, all of these things, those 47 principles will help you accomplish that. And so, you know, it's important that we learn these things, and we learn them ideally early in life. If I would have learned them early in life, I certainly would be in a different place today, that's for sure. Maybe I'd still be here doing a show about hope, but, you know, maybe not. Maybe I'd be in Hawaii doing a show about hope, which would be much better. Anyway, you know, it is what it is, and, you know, our life tends to shape us, and we are where we are because that's where we're supposed to be, I believe. And so, you know, maybe some of my experiences, my dad's experiences, maybe some of those can help you bring hope into your life and have a better life and a better future. You know, some people might say, well, you know, I'm retired or almost approaching retirement time now, and, you know, it's too late for me. And to that I say that it's never too late, you know, to get started. If you want to change your tomorrow, you want your tomorrow to be different than today, there's two different times to fix that. One was 30 years ago, planting the oak tree. 30 years ago, by now that oak tree would be big and you'd be able to harvest that and have some nice oak and make some money. But the other time is today, because that tree will still continue to grow into your future and still continue to produce a harvest for you. And so, you know, it's not too late to change. It's not too late to fix those things for your own life. So I really want to encourage you, dig in, whether it's information I've got available. There's a lot of other guys out there that have some great information on how to do that. I, of course, happen to think that what I've got is the best. But, you know, Robert Kiyosaki is an amazing man, and we use a lot of his information. We refer to that a lot because in his cash flow quadrant, he explains how we've been deceived, not told about finances, maybe intentionally, maybe not so much, but how just seems to be that things work out, that money gravitates this direction and we're all over here on this side, and this is how we live over here, and we don't realize that we could be over here instead. And so Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant is an amazing book. I believe that you can also get that on my website there. But then, you know, his Rich Dad, Poor Dad book kind of helps him, helps explain to you how he came up with these concepts, which is really kind of neat. He had the opportunity, a unique opportunity as a young man, to spend time with a man in his family that was very wealthy. And so he had a rich dad and a poor dad, and he got to see the comparison between the two and, you know, make a choice for himself. How do I want to live my future? Do I want to live like a rich dad, or do I want to live like a poor dad? And he really got a good overview to see how it was how they thought that made the difference. The rich dad thinks this way, poor dad thinks this way, and the rich dad gets these results and the poor dad gets these results. So, you know, Robert Kiyosaki, who's the other guy now? I can't think of his name. Anyway, there's a lot of people out there with good financial information. Ours is the only one with the 47 principles, which are, you know, pretty important. So I think we've got a more thorough information there for you. But, you know, freedom is such an important thing. And, you know, we live in a world today where oftentimes it's stressed about freedom, you know, that we live in a free country and we have a free society and so on. And, you know, we're free to choose. And those things are all true. Sadly, some of us choose slavery and indebtedness by borrowing money and, you know, taking out loans on things. And some of the things, you know, we might say are necessary. You know, it's pretty hard to pay cash for a $150,000 home or a $200,000 home, or maybe some of you, your homes are worth more. And paying cash for that would be real difficult. But, you know, it's even more difficult if you're paying out a large percentage of your money to someone else that doesn't need it as bad as you do. So, you know, it was Einstein, I believe, that said that compounding is the ninth wonder of the world, the power of compounding. And it is truly incredible. It's amazing to see how the little analogy that was brought to me and posed to me once was, what would you rather have? A penny a day that doubles every day for 30 days? Or would you rather have $1 million? And of course, at first thought, you're thinking a penny that doubles every day, you know, at the end of the 30 days, you're going to have, what, 10 bucks? So, yeah, I'll take the $1 million. But what you don't see and understand is that that penny starts out as a meager, lowly penny, which today buys absolutely nothing. Can't think of anything you can buy for a penny anymore. You used to be able to get bubble gum or a ride on the pony at Meijer. Maybe you might still get to ride on the pony at Meijer. You know, a penny is nothing anymore. But a penny that doubles every day, a penny that compounds every day for 30 days, winds up to be something like over $5 million. So had you have chosen the penny that compounded every day, that would be a much better choice than taking $1 million. But, you know, that's the society we live in. We don't stop to think out where this is all progressing, you know. But if a penny can compound into over $5 million in 30 days, and maybe my numbers are not correct because, you know, I haven't done it here. I did at one time sit down with a calculator and punch that out because I was like, that can't be true. So I encourage you, do it yourself because it really is true. It's amazing. You'd get so much more by getting a penny that compounded every day than you would by taking the $1 million. It would be significant. But that's the problem, and that's the thing that the bankers, the financiers know, is that we aren't going to take that time to calculate that out. But, you know, maybe some of you have done that with your car, and you sat down and said, okay, I want to finance this car for, you know, $30,000. I'm going to finance it for 5 years because that's how long they'll let me go. This is my payment, and you add up that payment after that amount of time, and you go, holy moly, I could have bought that car again for the price that I paid for it, you know. And how many of us go down to the car dealership and we say, okay, I want to buy a car for $30,000, and then the guy comes out and said, hey, today I'm running a special for you. A special today and today only. You can get this nice $30,000 brand new pickup truck or SUV or whatever it is you're looking at. Maybe it wouldn't be a Corvette probably that cheap, but you know, you can have this vehicle today and take it home for it with you on easy monthly payments. We're just going to charge you double. Instead of $30,000, we're going to charge you $60,000. You know, but you can have it today. We're going to make that special deal just for you. No, they don't tell you that. They don't give you the math of the compounding interest. They just say, hey, you know, easy monthly payments. You can afford $200 today, can't you? $200 a month? You know, you got it. No problem. We'll get it for you. How many of us would buy that $30,000 car for $60,000 otherwise? Huh? Special today, $60,000 just for you, for this nice red pickup truck that you'd like to have? You'd look at them like you were nuts. What? I ain't paying that. You got to be out of your mind. That car's only worth $30,000 at the most. How many of us had bartered for a used car or another car ourselves and said, well, that's not worth that much, you know. I'll give you $20,000 for it. You know, we've all done that. We've all bargained down and said, well, no, I don't see that as being worth that much. But how many of us have bartered up? None of us. And yet when we finance things, that's what we do. A TV, you know, go to Rent-A-Center and get a TV for so much a week. Whew, man, look at the total price of that once you add that up. It'd be crazy. And who would do that? Yet we all do. We all fall into that trap because we don't have those 47 principles. There's so many things in life these days that we're not taught, and it's really sad. And that's why I have this show. That's why I'm trying to help other people excel, because to me, I want other people to have the advantage and the edge and get the information that I never had and bring hope to you in your life. Now they moved it over here on me. It's pretty sneaky, guys. Anyway, you know, if I'd have had that stuff, how it would have really changed my life. And so I really encourage you. The Magic of Thinking Big is just an absolutely amazing book on human relations principles and how to get along better with other people and how to get people to win them to your way of thinking and get them to do the things that you want to do. And Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends and influence people, same kind of a thing, man. It's just absolutely amazing, the information that's in there. And you know, when we think about those things, we don't think about doing them. They just, you know, when you hear them, you go, oh man, that makes sense, but why didn't I think of that earlier? But you know, if I were to come up to you and I would start to just gently, just push on your chest. I'm just going to push you back with my hand. What are you going to do? You're going to stiffen up. You're going to, you know, lean into it a little bit because you don't want to fall over. You don't want me to push you backwards into the lake. So you're going to, you know, push back. And yet, when we want to get somebody to do something, we do that very thing. We kind of push on them. We say, come on, let's, you know, you want this and whatever. And I like to think of it like animals at the barn, that if you get behind a herd of animals, whether it's ducks or cows or goats or whatever, you get behind them and you try to corral them into the house or into the barn, and they aren't going, man. They're going to go everywhere but where you want them to go. And people are the same way. When you want to get somebody to do something, maybe it is a better idea that you've got. But when you push that to them, then they resist it. They push back. They fight back. Some of them almost aggressively. But if you take a little bit of grain and you get a scoop of their favorite food, ducks, cows, goats, whatever it is, and you kind of just shake it in front of them, they know what's in there. They've heard that sound before. You know, even your kitty knows. You open up that little can of cat food, boy, they know. They could be in the next county and they know, hey, I got cat food being opened. But you take that food and you kind of shake it a little bit and you just slowly back into the barn. Just slowly, but not into the lake. You don't want to go in the lake. That would be bad. But they'll follow you. They'll all just fall right into place and they'll follow you right in. Because why? You've got something that they want and you're presenting it in a way that's not scary to them, that is voluntary to them. They don't have to take the grain, but oh, they want the grain. But if you were to try and open their mouth and push the grain in there, they'd be fighting back. I've tried that before. Not grain necessarily, but, you know, vitamins or something for the little animals. They don't want to take those. People are the same way. When you present something to them, if you present it to them in a way that makes them desire it, that makes them interested, then they want it. But if you push it on them, they don't want it. Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy. I'm running out of time again. What started out to be a show that I didn't know what I was going to say wound up being one that I said a lot. If we've been a blessing to you and we've ministered to your heart and you've got something out of our show, please contact us, jim.pate@gmail.com or 616-799-0517. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Same time, same place here on WCET or there on YouTube if you happen to be watching me there. Have a great week.